I look away for a split second, I turn back, and he's there. He's just sitting on the screen, and I genuinely just, like, yelled, just, fuck!
Hi ho, it's me again. Did you miss me? Because I'm turning 23, and you know what that means? Yearly Klonoa content! Yeah, baby! If you're thinking I'm gonna do... If you're thinking I'm gonna redo Door to Phantomile, I won't. I've already done the video, and I think a lot of what I said still fits. The game is great, it's short, and I'm still not gonna talk about the story because it's fucking short. Go play the game, please. Or just watch the video. That's on you. However, I can and will talk about Lunatea's Veil story in this video, but I will make sure that A, I start out simple before covering the big spoilery and deeper things about the games, even if I seem like I reach for it, and B, the game is longer and far more cutscene dense than Door to Phantomile, and I think there's some cute little nuggets of little storytelling here and there. Not to say that Door to Phantomile's story is bad, mind you, it's just a lot simpler in comparison to this game, which steps it up in a number of ways. Plus, you could always either watch my video, like I said, on the game itself, and get an idea of how I feel, and play the game yourself. There are a variety of ways of playing Door to Phantomile, but I'd ask that you buy the collection regardless of the number of ways to play Door to Phantomile. Game short, play it, and support my baby boy, who deserves to come back in this modern gaming space. I wanna cry! Let me be a bitch who cries at children's games, please! Okay. So, I'm very happy that this collection is out there, and I feel like it's important to talk about the collection at the very least a little bit before getting into the big boy part of the video as a whole. And judging by how much time I have put into this, yeah, it's gonna be a big boy video. This collection is wonderful, and I am so incredibly happy that both of the games are readily available to play at anyone's leisure, as snagging some of the games could be tricky, to say the least. They both have redone key art for both games, which for one of those sent me into a rabbit frenzy. Straight up, one of my favorite games of all time, right here. And I have been wanting to stream this game for fucking ever! You have no idea how long I've been wanting to stream this game for. Jesus! Both of the games have a new hot element which keeps tracks of the Phantom Islands and Mommet dolls you've gotten throughout the stage. Kind of feels like it's redundant and it gives me crippling amounts of OCD when I look at it and snag something out of order, but it's fine. Also, your health bar changes depending on which stage you're in, at least from what I've seen for Klonoa 2. It's something that I've only noticed recently. And now there's difficulty options, so if you believe that the game is a little bit too hard for you, which Klonoa can get hard, but not too cripplingly so, you can switch the game to either, keep it at normal, or go to easy. Hard is unlockable when you beat either of the games that you're playing in for the first time. Then they're selectable whenever you want. And they are kind of like a little bit of a challenge mode. One-hit runs, so to speak. So if you decide that, Klonoa is a little too easy for you, go ahead, turn on hard mode, and then see how it goes for you. Speaking of both games, let's talk about Door to Phantomile for a minute. Door to Phantomile is a weird Frankenstein's game, as it's the original PS1 game running the Wii's graphics with the PS1/Wii soundbites kind of interspliced and the PS1 Klonoa design. So if anything, it looks like this. A freak of nature if I ever saw one. God has forsaken us. This is the game that's certainly got a few people up in a tizzy and has certainly caught a few glares, and I can imagine it's almost come off as lazy and inconsiderate for the IP. The IP that's been dormant for nearly 15 years, and this is how they treat the first outing back into the modern age of 2022, and collections getting botched left and right. Funny thing about Door to Phantomile, there are actually a few new voice clips, so there might have actually been something really funky going on with this game and its production. At least for this game only. There's also some weird changes, like enemies being able to bump into each other for Door to Phantom Isle. But for also both games, 2-player functionality was added for both games that I'm going to be ignoring. But hey, this one's for all the little brothers who don't get Player 1 privileges out there. This one's for you, kids. On my end, I think this is an odd misstep, because I think the collection at large, outside of Door to Phantom Isle and its odd choices, is definitely not a Sonic Origins kind of debacle. It's not near the Mega Man collections with the extra goodies and gameplay bang for buck that Capcom pulls out nowadays, but at the very least, these games aren't botched entirely. A lot of complaints can be legit and nitpicks, like the audio mixing. That's an actual complaint. However, Klonoa's model not being nearly as expressive as it was back in the Sprite days is a nitpick, and god damn it, I wish this model would look like it too. But it's playing off the Wii make, so... Regardless, both of these games are entirely playable with very few hiccups or broken aspects and feel nearly identical to their Origin counterparts. One of these games has been elusive for a very long time, and it's finally time to see it come back to us. Alright, I'm gonna give it to you straight. This game was fucking nearly impossible to play in the modern day before this collection. There was no other re-releases of this game, and it was very hard to get your hands on. Let Papa Blem, or Mama if that's your persuasion, tell you a story of his experience with Klonoa 2 on the PS2, alright? The first experiences I ever had with this game was when I was a wee lad in middle school, and fuck, it was scratched to hell and back! This can't be read. Fuck this! Skip to nearly the end of high school, and I saw a second chance to play the game after playing Door to Phantom Isle on my Vita in 2017, and I love that game, but whoo boy, Klonoa 2 had it out for me. Emulating this fucking game is a nightmare, and I don't recommend you do it, especially in this day and age with the collection out. I tried to get to grips with the emulator settings and the like, but my own sanity was staring me back in the face, ready to absolutely drag an install push me into the goddamn stratosphere. Alright, after giving up on emulating, I sought out another copy, and it was a Christmas gift that costed, what, 50 bones back in 2019? No, it was 2018, actually. But I was really lucky regardless. I was a fucking lucky son of a bitch that this game wasn't getting priced into the stratosphere. There was just a few problems with this, though. I didn't have a PS2, and I was looking to get one just for this one fucking game. So then I sought a plan in my college freshman days, split the bill with the roomie, because I can imagine he's also willing to be a loser like me. As if God told me that I could finally play the game, I literally got the message that he already had a PS2 and wanted to know if he could bring it over, and I lovingly said yes. This was before I truly steeped into the bisexual urges, but by God, I was ready to lay myself on a silver platter for that man. We got the setup working, and I finally, after nearly 10 motherfucking years, I was finally able to play this elusive childhood game. Let this story basically sum up why rare games should be preserved and re-released more often, because holy shit, do I never want to do that again. And let me be abundantly clear. This collection was primarily making me cream my pants due to Lunatea's Veil, a game that I think is a 10 out of 10 game, was now readily available after 20 years, and the main reason I was so fucking happy for this collection. Door to Phantom Isle can be played on a variety of different formats and easier to play. Another version of Door to Phantom Isle was expected, cause it's the first fucking game, but getting this gem back? It made me so unbelievably happy. And now that I've played Door to Phantom Isle around 12 times now, and Lunatea's Veil like 3, I'm finally here to tell you nerds what I think of it, and... oh, strap yourselves in, kids. It's gonna be a long one. After the events of Door to Phantom Isle, Klonoa, in a new set of baller drip, is hanging out in the void. A new dream begins and a new cry for help is heard, which brings the lad into a completely new world as he's spat out from the sea where a few onlookers call him out. 2 of which are interested in him and the other 2 are looking to be his new gaggle of goons for the coming adventure. The Wahoo child is then picked up from the ocean and introduced to his saviors, Lolo and Popka, a priestess and her faithful buddy Monster Thing, although being called the Dream Traveler should be setting off alarms in his brain after what happened last time. Regardless of the circumstances that be, Lolo gets inside the ring, puzzling Klonoa for a minute until Popka said, "Aye! Let's get moving, you giant adorable dumbass! To that island! Popka also then tries to remind the children how to double jump. Look, Klonoa's been out of the game for 4 years at this point. I doubt the Kittywinks would forget how to use the unclean as their stepping stools for far more attainable height, power, and acquirable furry tendencies. Once the 2+1 ring get to the statue at the island, there's a bell that needs to be rung, as per Papa Popka's direction, and after shooting the bell, Lolo springs out in joy. This bell was for her and her training, since baby priestesses can come here and get their promotion to become full-on priestesses, which Lolo is more than overjoyed about. Watch out for Lolo, she got that overhead and low shit going on. The three misfits with different fits mosey on over to Baguji, where the basic plot is essentially laid out for us. There are 4 bells scattered throughout Lunatea: tranquility, joy, anger, and indecision. And these bells are responsible for keeping order within Lunatea. However, there's the warning of a 5th bell that is about to be unleashed upon the world. A bell of ominous importance and malice to the landscape of Lunatea. You know, the world where people are constantly at a fair, the FGC are warring over who's more busted this season, and people deciding whether they should have cream cheese or butter on their bagels. Trick question, it's always butter, you fucking heathens. Funny thing too, people don't really care about the monsters either, and to be honest, neither would I. They're all pretty harmless little ooh-woo babies, and I want a plush of at least all of them. Unfortunately for the Wahoo child, good news isn't, and he needs to make his fuzzy ass all around the land of Lunatea to ring the bells and ensure world peace. But first, promotion time for Babby Lolo. So it's time to head to Lalakusha to hit up the High Priestess for that sweet, sweet promotion. And on their way up there, Klonoa notices a similar statue from the Sea of Tears and calls it into question. Popka essentially says, "That's the goddess Claire!" And Klonoa asks about the first one and gets told that it's a different Claire, Claire the Ancient, after she purged all evils. Lolo is praying to it the whole time. Hope she had her Bible of Claire with her. We meet up with the High Priestess, and she promotes Lolo to Priestess, therefore her giving the ability to grow more, get a new weapon, and the ability to use staves. She then tells the 2.5 monsters to go and ring the other bells in other parts of the land, like I said earlier with Baguji. Before leaving, the Priestess asks that Klonoa watches out for Lolo, which of course he obliges to do so as he is the bestest boy in all of Lunatea. Before they even have a chance of getting to the bell that's housed here in Lalakusha, a monster appears with Lolo and Popka calling out Liarina as the culprit. Lolo calls them bandits, but the two schmucks quote tweet their asses and say that they're sky pirates. Clearly their classes show that. Sky pirates they be, the dead-eyed Liarina seeks Klonoa's ring, and to do that, she sticks to the monster on the dweebs in tow. Knowing Klonoa, he's gonna do as he does, fight the monster and be on his merry way. After seeing to a lot of literal ass taps, Liarina is impressed and seeks the ring child's name, which he of course gives. Then she and her cutie sidekick Tat ride off into the skies. This gives the Wahoo child the chance to finally ring the bell and get what they call an element out of the bell. Once Klonoa gets his hands on the element, the voice comes ringing back to him and puzzles him. Back to Baguji we go, and he's curious about Liarina seeking the ring. The Goober gang think that she's also trying to save the world, but methinks the Deadeyes have other plans than her slicked back ponytail having ass. Sounds stupid considering that in this world, you need a priestess in order to power the ring. The lack of woman pertains to a lack of power. Well, nothing too much to think on as Baguji tells the kids to go and have some fun at Joyland and find some fun by ringing some bells. Do you think Klonoa would be fond of Ding Dong Ditch? I mean, he is old enough. He's gotten older. I could probably think about it. They make their way to Joyland, and while looking at the map and Klonoa being mesmerized at the land, some pussy decides to steal the elements from Lolo, and said pussy was Tat. Tat splits into two, a bit of tit for tat, and heads off into 2 different spaces of the park, the hoverboard area and the general amusement park. Regardless of which path you take, the first one always doesn't have the element, and Klonoa gets called a pervert by acquiring woman. In both stages, they're a nice way of expressing some character, especially since Lolo mentally shits herself as soon as she basically says she likes Klonoa after Tat calls him pesky. It's always a nice time when platformers take a little bit of time to show some life in their characters. Lolo is also terrified of ghosts and gives some interesting implications about the ring itself. considering that while she's inside the ring, she fucking yanks the poor lad's arm. After the literal game of cat and mouse, the element Napper is caught, but it was only a diversion to cause some extra problems. The main plaza has a new monster problem, and Klonoa and Popka can't take the time to reacquire woman. The boss is dealt with, but the main thing of interest for Liarina was ring data, which she got from Tat getting snagged and the beast busting from Klonoa, and the Goober Goons get the element, but at what cost? Popka also grills Lolo for being a klutz, and I mean... Yeah, she very much is. Back to Bagaji to ask about what Liarina plans on doing, but instead of a direct answer, he gives a direct direction in the direction of the Volkies and their home, which is at war. State of the FGC, man, He tells the kids to go underground and make their sneaky ways through the Civil War grounds. And the best part? They get to the Bell of Discord, but spot a certain tech thief in their midst, and overhear that she's using the generators to power the machine to make a copy of the ring. So now begins the hunt for the generators before Liarina commits genocide for the sake of a ring. Anything for the Drip Queen, anything for that bag. Also, yeah, when they said that Volk was in a civil war, they weren't fucking around. Statues are getting blown up, the whole place is on fire, and even innocent Volkies are trying to escape from the crossfire. Like, Jesus Christ! On their way to turn off the generators deep into the factory, the nerds find Tat, who seems to be in a bit of a tizzy, and the scene plays out almost like a comedy skit. Seems odd considering that Tat was being incredibly coy and playful previously. Regardless, both of the generators are down and they return to the bell where the machine to make the ring was shown, but before that, it's time to clash with a robot. After smashing the bot, Liarina has everything she needs, ring in tow, and with her plan onto the next step, she steals the element right in front of them, along with the reactor beginning to overload and explode. Liarina walks off and seeks to save the world. While damning a chunk of said world, the Goober Gang get to shutting down the reactors, but not before side-scroller Nemesis can get his can of an ass back up and hunts the Wahoo child. And after making a quick save, he realized that this world is kind of fucked. The only thing these people know how to do is all pretending to their home. Joylians only know joy, the Volkies only know war and hate, and the furries only know cute. Where's the blood and scars? Come on, furry fandom. Show me the edge. Lolo also gets her gears turning as she wonders how Liarina was able to even use the ring and ring the bell in the first place. Back to Baguji, and he tells us our next bell, which lies over in the Mira Mira, where it's all cold and you need a whole-ass arc to cross over the Lake of Seclusion. However, the arc in question was once used to travel the world, probably when it wasn't segmented and wasn't coated in the cheek pinchers that roam the lands of Lunatea. Lolo seems dead set on saving the world, which catches Popka in a mental 50-50, where some things don't necessarily add up right. Regardless, time to board the Ark and get it back into flying shape. 3 engines later, and the Ark is back up in the skies, ready for flight. Onwards to the mountains, where Popka has decided to commit theft. That's 3 stars for you, Popka, you fuck! Also, what the fuck does the inside of the ring look like? Popka straight up pulls the fucker out of the ring itself. How did he even get it in there? After getting infected by Phantom Island saying, the squad manages to find a building out in the snowy peaks. With no one and nowhere else to go, it's time to wander into the maze of memories. While inside, Lolo meets one of those weird art enjoyers that get a little too deep into thinking about abstract art. The chord of memories is struck with her, and while puzzling around, the gamer gang run into a mirror which reflects the memories of Lolo to the group. She yearns to be an actual priestess, one of strength and promise. But everything and everyone around her is just there to put herself in the dirt. She's not the one ringing the bells and proving herself, Klonoa is. She's not the one destined to save the world, she's only there by proxy of being within the ring. She sought to be a priestess for selfish reasons and thought that she could prove everyone wrong, when in turn, she's only proving them right. She's weak. She hasn't done anything. It was all the ring and the creature attached to it. And this kills Lolo. Absolutely just breaks the poor kid.
Đồ Em mấy lấy trình niên Thật Clara đáng vào Đồ Camilla
What makes it worse is that they get to the bell soon after, and the stank-ass tree just points and laughs at the kids looking to snag the element. He then wonders why the Sunshine Squad are looking to save the world, Popka being absolutely based while the question is targeting Lolo the hardest. Well, we gotta get the element somehow, and the tree sends out the next beast as a test of wills. So as Klonoa does, he literally charges into the beast as Klonoa fights. Popka hits Lolo with a wake-up call equivalent to, look at him! He's out there fighting not because he's looking to save the world, but because he's kinda cute and stupid, and he does what he thinks is right. You're looking worse than stupid, but the least you can do right now is try! Lolo sees the attempt and starts to feel better about it, albeit with a bit of anger. After the reconciliation, she's ready to get back into the fight and just right back into the ring. The tree recognizes the strength of the Wahoo Child and gives the kids some guidance. If you can find certainty amidst your doubt, learn to accept that you are with flaws and doubt, then everything else should fall into place. Live with your doubts and make yourself stronger as you are. And after the life lesson and the element, you guessed it, back to Baguji. But as it turns out, Baguji is Bagu sauce! Liarina has the elements and pronounces that she'll make the world pay. And now, it's time to revisit a few corrupted area, like Lalakusha, which is coated in poison. Man, fuck you, Popka. After surviving the poisonous caves, the loser squad check in on the High Priestess and actually get some deets on Liarina, or back in her priestess days as Leo. Turns out that bitch wanted to climb the ranks, attain power, and be seen as a force to be reckoned with. This is what more than likely caused the shine in her eyes to die, considering that this is the only time they're here outside of another section in the game. While this conversation is being had, Liarina is back at the statue of the goddess Claire, awakening the bell hidden underneath the statue. It's always nice to have clear parallels between your hero and villain, especially considering that these two sought power of the priestess for more human and selfish needs. You either take the path of trying to prove yourself to others and find your own strength in the people that you meet along the way, building the bonds and connections that matter while also having your beliefs challenged, or you walk down the path that is far more self-centered, making the connections that matter but only for your own selfish needs, only for life to await and find the perfect moment to swing at your legs and make you kneel. Something has consumed Liarina, something that's caused the light to die, and what feels like another being to take hold. She seeks power at the possible cost of hundreds of lives if need be. She wants to save the world, but to what end by this time? Questions and questions pile up, but it's time to head back to the Sea of Tears and traverse the darkness and... Baby, the money shots! God damn! 2001 was a time to be alive! By the way, I was 2 by the time this game came out. There's also these dark spirits that have come out to play. This world is starting to get utterly fucked by the awakening of this power, and this mysterious new bell. Speaking of said bell, Klonoa tells Liarina, Mommy, please don't ring that bell, please! And Liarina just tells this poor lad, cry, and rings the bell. With an ominous ring, the bells in the world start to ring in unison, making the coming of a forgotten land. The sea turns a golden sheen, and the Ark, the true Ark, reawakens and makes its way over to the 5th bell, the Bell of Sorrow. That thing looks ominous, and it just appeared, so it's time to kick its ass, but first we gotta ride in the dried up Sea of Tears in order to make our way anywhere near that fucking bird. The dried up sea makes a way for long dead structures and outfits? I'll chalk that one up to the chaos of the world bringing that about. After passing through a number of strange pieces of architecture, a cannon treats the Wahoo Child to the Ark, and the cry for help rings clear once more. This time, much clearer than any other time. It's finally time to try and fight Liarina, ring to ring. But unfortunately, fate has other plans, and the power of sorrow consumes her, transforming her into cursed Liarina. The power she sought bit her square in the ass, and transformed her into a monster, and a power she cannot control. This isn't that kind of power that one of a hasty constitution can grab a hold onto. Sorrow is far stronger than it has any right to be, and can be seen why it was sealed away as it was. After the battle, Liarina essentially pounds her fist onto the ground, realizing that the path she took was essentially meaningless. Sorrow is far too strong for anyone to reasonably handle. Every other emotion/power is something people can control, something that they themselves as individuals can control. Sadness and sorrow is something that's harder to contain and harder to overcome. Everyone seeks to feel joy and tranquility, peaceful emotions that make life easier to live day to day. Anger and indecision are emotions that require getting a grip on lest you get lost deep within them, like the Volkies, who are in constant warfare, and the Miras who fear moving onwards, preferring the comfort of the past and certainty. However, sorrow is something everyone wants to forget. Tears are a blight to some and a blessing to others, but in the world of Lunatea, they bring nothing but blight to those who are a part of the kingdom, forgotten and sealed away to the sands of time by the goddess Claire. Sorrow will come, but will you be strong enough to withstand it and overcome it? Klonoa, being as he is told by the broken Liarina to quell the beast, to break the coming connection between Lunatea and the Kingdom of Sorrow by destroying the true Ark. And we do that by committing violent amounts of arson and throwing boomies into the engines. But the joy of these kabooms is Tat with Liarina in tow helping Klonoa. That's adorable, Tat. So through the combined effort, the Ark is taken down, but the kingdom is still a problem. The broken, shattered, and desolate remains of the Kingdom of Sorrow still very much remain, and this is where the journey is going to meet its end. Liarina also finally has the shine in her eyes back. What a lovely touch that she's back in the right mind. This is one of the longest stages in the game, and it's a long and treacherous climb. The track that accompanies it is even 8 minutes long, so you're in for a ride. There are chases from armored moos, treacherous and long gaps that lead to instant death, and all the while, the inside and outside of the kingdom is desolate and deeply depressing. People used to live here. The kingdom used to have Lunateans, but it's a bit of a mystery what truly happened outside of being sealed away. Implications are all that's left of this kingdom coated in a depressing orange. Once into the actually hollow halls of the Forgotten Path, Klonoa brings up the voice he's been hearing throughout the entire adventure, and it's at its clearest here. Deliverance is coming, and the board is the only path forward at its fastest. Once the light has been shown, the figure that has been haunting Klonoa's mind and crying for help is finally clear, and it looks like him. The King of Sorrow knows what the Dream Traveler is here to do, while also saying that the sorrow was always a part of Lunatea. They just decided to hide it away from the world and forget it was even there to begin with. With the Ark, the king was able to lift the veil over Lunatea. He wanted Lunatea to remember sorrow. He who led the trio by the nose in order to bring them to where they are now, in order to make the world truly remember and embrace sorrow. As it stands now, the king has gone nuclear and must be stopped before he, just as Liarina would have, lay waste to lives and seeks to bring about the world to shambles. And after bringing the king down to his knees, he wonders why they continue to fight, to reject and despise sorrow as it is, before Liarina steps back in with this bit. She momentarily snaps the fucker back to reality and breaks him from the prison he made for himself, trapped within his own sorrow. But he goes berserk, and Klonoa knows what he has to do. And after finishing the Berserk King, trapped within his own grief, he decides to do what is truly right. Ring the bell and bring the kingdom back into the world of Lunatea. In the king's last moments, Klonoa puts his sorrows truly to rest, knowing that the world will once again be complete, as the Kingdom of Sorrow is back where it should be. With the kingdom back and the world at peace more than it ever was before Klonoa stepped into the world, things are starting to change. Lolo's going to start over and become a priestess of her own accord. Leorina's looking to build the Kingdom of Sorrow, and it's finally time to say goodbye, and Popka knows it, Lolo knows it, even Klonoa knows it. His time is spent here. But before the lad makes his way off, Lolo, with tears in her eyes, embraces the lad for what is, canonically, the last time. And an inverse of Door to Phantomile, Lolo doesn't want Klonoa to leave, and in his heart, he doesn't want to either. He remembers what transpired the first time and knows it's not his place to linger any longer. However, he makes this moment clear that he will not be forgotten. He will always be with her. He thanks the priestess and walks off, fading out of Lunatea and awaiting his next call to action, ending Klonoa 2, Lunatea's Veil. Fuck, this game's still got me choked up and emotional. Even after all these years, I'm still tearing up at this ending. Let me dry up these tears and keep things moving. Just give me a second. Okay, I'm good. I'm good. I'm good. So let me tell you about the gameplay real quick. So Lunatea's Veil, as a sequel, steps up the gameplay in a number of ways, and one of them is how long these levels tend to get. There's a reason this game takes 4 hours to finish in comparison to Door to Phantomile's 90 minutes to 2 hours. Like Door to Phantomile, the game gets harder as you go on. There is a clear and concise ramp up throughout the game's 24 stages, as the game starts to slowly get more and more treacherous. Enemies might not be placed in dickish ways, but the stages themselves will actively have more damning hazards and a good number of pits to throw you into. If you aren't already sweating looking at this, you don't understand true fear! You start getting to stages like Noxious Lalakusha, you're gonna start seeing additive gimmicks to stages, whether they be poison, a timer that kills you, or the sins of your actions coming to haunt you and condemning your fragile, meager existence, damning you for the rest of your life. Or just big scary pits. I mean, whatever works. As usual, Klonoa can run, jump, use enemies for double jumping, and float for a few seconds, which can either save you or be the thing that possibly condemns you to the pit.
I've been waiting here for ages.
There's still collectibles like the Phantom Islands, but they're called Mommet dolls, and they're for this 1940s dragon, and they can unlock content within the game itself. Gems are also needed for game completion, along with unlocking some art, which I have not. This game introduces completely new enemies for you to use, and some are completely conducive to the change into a more puzzle-focused game. One of which is used in a number of late-game puzzles that require you to route how you throw and use enemies. God, this game is so cool! Not only do stages get harder, but they start incorporating more puzzles into them, like Lalakusha having the giant bell looking ass being a simple solution of throw enemy into background. There's going to be puzzles like the ones in the Underground Factory, or hell, even the ones in the Ruins of Sadness. There's a perfect balance of platforming and puzzles, but some of them are kinda stump you on your first playthrough. I know I sure as fuck got stumped back in 2019. Just take your time and take a look at what the game wants you to do, soak in that environment and remember it, because once you do, it'll literally let you breeze through the game. Bosses aren't anything to write home about, it's a Klonoa game. They're alright. Just give the fuckers a few ass taps, tummy touches, and reminders that sadness isn't king. Yes, we get it! You're sad! Cry about it, cringe ass! There we go. There's also the new stage that the game placed on the front of the PS2 box, a Tony Hawk's Pro. It's just a board riding stage. They're kind of fun, if not making you see the world as a large-ass suicide pit if you care about the dolls, which I do, so you know what? I will never be happy until I have a doll collection. Not even when Klonoa sings and does a board spin. Ayo, did he just take off his hat? So if you push your L or R buttons, or whatever your other controller calls it, Klonoa can do
Did you hear
a
that?
little animation. These range from holding up his hand and going, or just You could jump in the air and spin. When you're getting shot out of a cannon, you could flip or do a spin. When you're on the board, you could have the Wahoo Child spin or just tip his hat, and it changes when getting shot out of a cannon. They do literally nothing. They're just cute, and I love them dearly. If you're struggling in Lunatea's Veil, for whatever reason, here are a few tips to get you on your way. Take your time if you need to. The game does get rough by the end, so don't beat yourself up if you can't get through something hard later. Just get back up and try again. If you're looking to get the Mama dolls, be careful because later dolls are in really precarious spots, which could lead to death if you're not careful. Try getting them on a second or third run through if you really need it. Although if you snag one and die, it's all good since the game doesn't reset them after you die. So go monkey if you really wanna, you brainless fuck. Try to keep calm, especially when over at the Kingdom of Sorrow. These stages are treacherous and they will lead to a number of deaths if you aren't careful. In the case of the final board stage, learning to break is your friend here. I mean it. If any of those help, by all means, let me know. I'd like to hear experiences about the Wahoo Child. Alright, kiddos, time to use our ears for this one. Platformers typically fall into one of two OST camps. They're usually some of the catchiest and pretty good for what they need to be in a rather simple genre, or they're run-of-the-mill and borderline forgettable, and Lunatea's Veil is anything but that. This is a varied OST with a lot going for it, some of the best the franchise has to offer in my opinion, and even some of the tracks play into the story. Sure, you've got simple tracks like Seaway, which starts you off on your adventure, but eventually bursts into Going to Lunatea, the start of a brand new adventure for Klonoa in a new world. The OST still has dynamic flair so that you can tell those other games to suck it on your 2 tracks per stage. Tracks that obviously fit the mold and break you into the area that you're running through. Volky's song is bombastic and jazzy despite the fact that you're running through the middle of a war zone. There's also the absolute magnificent that is Joyland. I'm not gonna say anything. Have a listen. These tracks all definitely play into the feeling of the stages, and just sink you into this imaginative and colorful world. But with color, there is also some dark palettes, and you know what? This game paints its own picture with a variety of hues, gloriously happy while also being beautifully sad at the same time. A perfect mix. And let me give you an example of some of the added hues, okay? Liarina's theme starts out simple. It's kind of repetitive and doesn't really go very far. It works for someone like her who aspires for more, but there's something holding the whole track back. Then, once the fake ring starts to get to her, the track truly opens up, and even removes the theme and just calls it Liarina. This is the new Harbinger, the coming savior of Lunatea. But why does it sound sad? Almost a prelude to the coming sorrow. This is when her track truly opens up, when she's touted as an actual and viable threat instead of some pretty-faced sky pirate. She seeks power, and the lingering effects of her actions are felt, especially when you hang on those shots by the end of her track. Then, Cursed Liarina kicks in near the end of the game, and the worst part of her suffering is that she's still very much in there. She's let the power get to her, and you have to stop her, but she's still there deep down. There isn't an epic clash between real ring and fake ring. It's someone trying to bring a deluded maniac who's lost all sense of self back to their senses. Someone racked with sorrow and grief and lost their own identity to its power. Shit, man. Even when I was writing this, it's got me choked up just fucking thinking about it. Then, there's the Ruin of Sadness, an 8-minute long track, the longest in the entire OST, and it's hollow. Completely vacant of anything but the remnants of what once was. A track that keeps trying to recall and break into other tracks, almost as if the memories are still very much alive, but something is missing. If you listen close enough, you can hear people. You can hear the very residents of this kingdom living as they once did, but here you are, running through its desolate remains to stop it from coming back. King of Sorrow and his tracks aren't any happier. There's a melody that lends itself to finality, sure, but there's more to it. The track, even when breaking out into its second wind, feels empty and drenched in sadness. A being long forgotten, and the only thing left for him is a violent death at the hands of someone he brought and led to the nose to him. The final boss track feels like it's berserk, trying to retain who he is, trying to fight for his very existence, but this is it for him. A death march he brought unto himself. And the only thing he can do against this strange dream is to fight for his life. A life he lived in seclusion from the rest of the world and lost himself to his own power in the end. Please, listen to this game. You might not need to play it, but at the very least, listen to its story. Do me that, at least. If I have not made it clear with this entire video that I love this game, let me say it loud and clear for everyone to hear. I fucking love this video game that was made for children, lost to time, and now brought back to us. I believe this game to be one of the best games ever made. My tears, my essence, my heart, all of it are to prove my adoration for a 20-year-old PS2 game. I hope that was clear enough for you at home, especially if the message somehow didn't sink in. I think this is the quintessential platformer, a game that everyone should play at least once, because it's that fucking good. It is a surprisingly deep story with a message that runs fucking home so goddamn hard, and it was made for children! We don't get shit like this anymore! No other platformer will do as Klonoa does, and hit as this Cabot does. I'm straight up trying not to tear up as I'm writing and reading this. The gameplay is simple and stellar, absolutely no faults with it, as it doesn't try to beat you down or give you a hard time without reason. Its music is some of the best the genre has to offer, and it's evident that not only effort went into it, but attention to detail about the game's narrative at large. This fucking Cabot, this strange dream, has my heart. And here I am showing it to you all on this day. It's drenched in joy, tranquility, anger, indecision, and most of all, sorrow. I am proud to stand where I am with this strange dream. I am happy he's back, and I only pray that when we see him again, he makes us feel just as much as he did when he was still with us. Klonoa is many things, but without emotion and heart, he is not. My tears are for you, Phantomiliana. Okay, so,
How'd it go with your bud?
It's certainly going.
Your freedom! How's it been?
I just answered that question, you fucking idiot.
Alright.
We aren't even 30 seconds in.
Yeah,
Pull it together, Mr. Content Creator. What are you doing?
I'm trying my best out here, I'm gonna be honest. Okay.
Are you, though?
I feel like I am! Alright, so, recount that day when I fucking, on that February day, when I fucking,
Okay.
when I just kind of came in and screamed in the room, in the dorm.
Okay, so a little bit of pretext here. I think a few times before then you had mentioned Klonoa, a couple times at least, definitely. because you mention all sorts of games that I've never heard of, and I just have to sit there and nod my head like, yep, I understand completely. You mentioned that a few times. And I think at one point you mentioned, oh yeah, I wish there was ports or something. Da, da, da. I don't remember the specifics, but I do remember you saying that. And so here we are, that February day, whenever the Nintendo Direct drops. You go off to class. I'm waiting because I'm done with classes for the day. I'm just sitting there waiting for the Direct to start. And in my mind, I'm thinking, you know, maybe, just maybe it'll happen. I wasn't exactly keen on the prospect because I knew what that meant as soon as you got back. I knew exactly what was going to happen. And so I was sitting there like, I'm not ready for this. And so the Direct starts, right?
Yeah.
You know, you go through all the basic stuff, you know, oh, new Warriors game's coming, oh, okay, that's cool. And then it's going through all these random titles, and then it gets to a section talking about ports that are coming, and I'm like, oh god.
Oh boy.
Here it is. Here it is. I look away for a split second because I heard something out in the hallway because I'm sure you remember some of those people were not exactly quiet. Granted, you were part of that group. I look away for a split second. I turn back, and he's there. He's just sitting on the screen, and I genuinely just like yelled, just fuck! Because I knew what was gonna happen, and so, okay, so I saw that. I was like, okay, I got maybe 20 minutes, mentally prepare myself for the fucking hellstorm that's about to come, knock down the door, full speed, 80 decibels straight to my eardrums. Those shits are gonna pop. I know it's gonna happen, and so I'm just sitting there anticipating, and it's like I'm mentally preparing because I know. Listen, you're the rat gremlin, all right? You're the rat king bastard himself. You're the loudest motherfucker I've ever been with. It's not even a contest. You are absurd. Like, you are so fucking loud. It's insane. And so I'm preparing, and the entire time I'm also thinking, like, this man is probably disrupting his whole class right now, fucking screaming Bloody Mary because this random fucking platformer that no one else in that room has ever heard of just got announced for, like, all sorts of different platforms. Were you in big class then? I think you were.
No, I was in ASL.
Oh, yeah, that's even worse.
No, I couldn't. I didn't even say. I saw it. I saw it. I tried not to cry though.
Yeah,
I kept my mouth shut.
That room is dead silent. You better have been quiet. And so, mentally preparing, I hear the main door open like 20 times before you get back, and I physically winced each time because I knew it was gonna happen. And so after like the 20th time, I'm like, okay, I eased up a little bit. Big mistake. And then all of a sudden the door opens. I hear your loud ass fucking footsteps. You bust down that door. It didn't matter how much I prepared myself. I still physically jumped. You scream Bloody Mary at the top of your lungs. And listen, there are a few times in those 6 months where I genuinely, instinctively almost slapped you. Now, I want you to imagine that, but like 20 times worse. I was ready to throw hands. And it wouldn't have been fair to you. Because I knew it was coming. I thought I was fully prepared. I wasn't.
You really weren't.
Listen, you can't prepare because you're a fucking loose cannon.
Oh, goddamn right.
And so it doesn't matter because, I mean, there are so many times where you would walk in and either just scream for no reason, you know, just unprompted because you thought it was funny, or two, you would just say the dumbest shit in the world. I would never be able to predict it each time, but I wasn't prepared for that, no. Because you must have mustered up every, like, fucking decibel you could that day because... Holy shit, dude.
Homie, I'm gonna say it like this, yeah? Be happy you weren't there on the stream day.
Yeah,
Because the
I'm glad I
moment,
wasn't.
because the moment I saw the Klonoa 2 key art, once I finished Door to Phantom Isle for like the 12th time that day, right? I screeched at the top of my lungs.
Yeah, no, I can hear it now.
I can send you the clip.
You know, Scott, listen. I already sat through one of those screams. What in your right fucking mind
Makes you think
think that I will go through that shit again? Hell no. You are a fucking bastard if you think that's gonna happen.